Good morning, honorable judges, respected teachers, and fellow debaters. My name is Elsy Devina Larasati from SMA Islam Insan Cendekia, Baitul Izzah. Today, I stand firmly in favor of this motion that this House would give social service and skill training for gambling offender rather than imprisonment. Ladies and gentlemen, let us ask ourselves, what is the true purpose of punishment? Is it merely to lock people away, or is it to reform them so they return as a better member of society? When we consider gambling offenders, individuals who are not violent criminals but often victims of economic pressure, addiction, or lack of opportunities, the answer becomes clear. Rehabilitation through social service and skill training offer more hopes rather than imprison ever could. Firstly, social service and skill training emphasize rehabilitation rather than punishment. Gambling is often rooted not only in economic hardship, but also in psychological addiction. According to the Indonesian Association of Clinical Psychologists in 2022, gambling activates the brain's reward system in a way that's similar with the drug abuse. The more a person gambles, the more dopamine is released, and this one with creating a cycle of dependency. In this sense, many offenders are not simply criminals, but individuals that suffering from behavioral addiction that requires therapies and rehabilitation. We can see this issue clearly in Indonesia. Several cases of university students that addicted to online slot gambling have gone very viral in news. In Yogyakarta, for example, a 21 years old student admitted that he lost nearly 80 million rupiah from online gambling and forced him to drop out because of mounting debt. If such students are imprisoned, their education will end and their potential is wasted. But if they are rehabilitated, given skill training, part-time job opportunities, and psychological counseling, they can still return to campus, finish their studies, and contribute positively to society. Isn't that a more meaningful solution than locking them behind bars? Secondly, this policy would reduce recidivism and elevate prison overcrowding. Studies consistency show that imprisonment for minor offenses does little to prevent reoffending. Once labeled as ex-convicts, offenders face social stigma and making it harder to find jobs. With no income, many would return to gambling or maybe worse, commit the other crimes, and this is going to repeat like a cycle. Indonesia itself is facing serious prison overcrowding. According to the Directorate General of Corrections, the occupancy rate in many prisons has exceeded 200%, housing gambling offenders in already overcrowded facilities, wastes resources that could be allocated to managing the serious criminals. By diverting this offender into social service and skill programs, we not only reduce the burden on the prison, but also ensure rehabilitation in more cost-effective and impactful. Opponents may argue that imprisonment is necessary to create deterrence, that without strict punishment, people will continue gambling without fear. However, let us reflect. If harsh laws alone could solve social problems, why does illegal gambling still flourish in many Indonesian cities? The truth is, fear of prison has not eradicated the practice. In conclusion, honorable judges, imprisonment may silence gambling offender for a while, but it doesn't solve the problem. Social service and skill training, on the other hand, address the root causes, benefit society, and give offenders the tools to rebuild their lives. Why waste human potential by confining it behind bars if we can channel it into something more productive? Therefore, I strongly affirm this motion that this House would give social service and skill training for gambling offender rather than imprisonment. Let us choose a justice system that heals, reforms, and restores, not one that merely punishes. Because true justice is not just about how many people will put in jail, but how many lives we can bring back into society. Thank you.